In 1388, the first king of the Joseon dynasty pulled off the ultimate U-turn with his army and wiped out Goryeo last defense. But some Goryeo generals panicked, swiped the royal treasure, and ran off to sea, never to be heard from again. Classic. Fast forward 4 years, Muchi, a small-time thief with big dreams, and his gang of misfits are floating on a piece of wood after a failed palace heist. They're starving, sunburned, and probably smelling like boiled socks. Lucky for them, Captain Haerang and her pirate crew find them and bring them aboard. Muchi, in his dehydrated state, thinks Haerang is an angel. For months later, he knows the truth. She's more like a drill sergeant with great hair. Life on the pirate ship is tense. Haerang's crew thinks Muchi's gang is lazy and gross. Muchi's gang thinks Haerang's pirates aren't real pirates. To make it worse, no one knows whether to follow Muchi, their boss, or Haerang, the one with an actual ship. One day, they spot a Japanese pirate ship and get ready for battle. Muchi, eager to impress, jumps in first and slices through the enemies like butter. The pirates take over the ship, and while their leader stays silent, a terrified kid spills the beans. They were hunting for treasure. And not just any treasure. The Goryeo general's stolen treasure. One of Haerang's men conveniently finds a map, and everyone gets dollar signs in their eyes. After some grumbling, Haerang agrees to the treasure hunt. They follow the map to an island, but when the map gets tricky, Muchi takes over because apparently he's an expert in squiggly lines. Suddenly, they spot a cow. Muchi thinks, a good omen, and charges at it, only to learn it's the front cow of a herd. The gang gets trampled, and Muchi gets yeeted off a cliff. Everyone assumes he's dead, but nope, he's hanging onto a branch like a cartoon character. While dangling, Muchi finds an old tusk. He climbs back up, and Haerang grabs it immediately, recognizing it as the key to a secret map. Turns out, the real treasure map is carved on the tusk, but before they can set off, they need to recover from their cow-induced injuries. 1. Haerang has had enough. She tells Muchi's gang they either become real pirates under her command or stay behind. Muchi's confident his gang will stick with him. Spoiler, they don't. They all join Haerang. Muchi gets left on the island. Back on the mainland, the last Goryeo royal is plotting a comeback. He hires General Hyung-soo, a legendary warrior, to help him out. General Hyung-soo tells the last Goryeo royal, soldiers cost money, pal. If you want an army, we need that mythical treasure. And so, the treasure hunt becomes everyone's side quest. Back on Haerang's pirate ship, the crew throws a wild banquet to celebrate finding the tusk. Drinks are flowing, food is flying, and everyone's having a great time, until someone realizes the tusk is gone. Turns out, while they were too busy partying, Muchi swiped it and left a cheeky little note. Haerang is furious. She grabs a few men and heads back to the island to hunt him down. On the island, things go from bad to worse when they run into a tiger. After some panicked screaming and narrowly avoiding becoming tiger snacks, they find Muchi hiding in a rundown shack. Haerang doesn't waste time. She fights Muchi until he spills the beans. Turns out, Muchi did steal the tusk, but then Maki, one of his own men, double-crossed him. Apparently, Maki pretended to be loyal, helped Muchi steal the tusk, and then swiped it for himself the second Muchi's back was turned. Ouch! Maki doesn't stick around. He takes the tusk to the mainland, pretends to be Muchi, and tries to sell it to a rich merchant. Fortunately, Haerang and her crew show up just in time to crash the deal. They not only recover the tusk, but also kidnap the merchant's daughter, who'd been helping Maki. Back on the ship, Haerang is done with everyone's nonsense. She declares that Muchi, Maki, and the merchant's daughter are all getting the death penalty. It's execution time, too, and Muchi is first up. But just as they're about to finish him off, Muchi pulls a dramatic move. He reveals he's been hiding a knife this whole time. Chaos breaks out, and Muchi escapes, running straight into Haerang's office to steal the tusk again. He bolts back to the deck, holding the tusk over the water like it's the most dramatic stage play ever. "Take one step closer, and I'll drop it," he yells, dangling the tusk over the ocean like a pro negotiator. Everyone freezes, and the standoff begins. What's next? Who knows? Probably more chaos. Haerang sighs, puts her sword down, and says, "Fine, no killing anyone if you give me the tusk back." Muchi, feeling like he's won, hands it over. Big mistake. Haerang immediately shoves him into the water. Turns out, she knew about his hidden dagger all along and just wanted to remind everyone she could totally take him out if she felt like it. Message received. Muchi and Maki get demoted to hard labor, Pirate Punishment 101, while Haerang and her crew unveil the tusk. But surprise! The message on it is some kind of code. Nobody can read it, and everyone's scratching their heads. Meanwhile, back on the mainland, General Hyung-soo is getting real medieval on a poor priest, torturing him into spilling the treasure's location. Feeling cocky, Hyung-soo asks the Goryeo leader to promise him the throne if he finds it. The leader's reaction? You know, nice try. Back on the ship, Haerang gets desperate enough to let Muchi take a look at the tusk's cloth. To everyone's shock, Muchi deciphers it, The next stop? Higildo Island, a place so dangerous it's basically the Bermuda Triangle of Korea. Muchi, unsurprisingly, is not on board with this plan. But Haerang, ever the thrill-seeker, says, "Worth it," and they head out. Once they reach Higildo, Haerang leads a small team, including Muchi, to face the island's infamous whirlpool. To survive the dive, everyone gets a pig bladder filled with air. Muchi, of course, doesn't know how to use his bladder properly and nearly drowns. Haerang has to save him, dragging him out of the water and even giving him mouth-to-mouth. Muchi wakes up sputtering and throwing insults at Haerang, knowing her right-hand man will take the bait. The guy lunges at Muchi, who conveniently slams him into a cave wall. The wall cracks, revealing a hidden passage. Everyone stares, and Muchi grins. "You're welcome." They follow the new path and finally find a treasure trove of chests. Victory, or not. They open the chests only to find old bottles. Lots and lots of bottles. The disappointment is palpable. But wait, there's more. Among the junk is a weird flag with a monster's face painted on it. And inside the monster's mouth is another coded message. Because of course there is. What's next? Decoding, danger, and probably more Muchi almost drowning. Before anyone can crack the flag's code, boom, an explosion rocks the cave, sending everyone into a panic. Turns out, General Hyung-soo and his crew have crashed the party, skipping the whole whirlpool hassle and entering from above like show-offs. A brawl breaks out, with punches flying and swords clashing. Meanwhile, Maki seizes the chaos to sneak a peek at the flag. Like the true slippery eel he is, he bolts, leaving everyone else to duke it out. Haerang, however, gets knocked out cold when debris falls from the ceiling. Muchi steps up and yells at the crew to carry her out while he stays behind to fight. Hero mode activated. Enter Hyung-soo. He grabs the treasure chests and jumps back into the whirlpool, leaving Hyung-soo fuming. Hyung-soo tries to follow, but oops, no pig bladder means no extra air. He glares at the whirlpool and storms back to his men, muttering about bad planning. Underwater, Muchi is doing his best not to drown when Haerang suddenly appears. She's alive! Unfortunately, her "I'm fine" act lasts about 2 seconds before she passes out from lack of air. Muchi quickly does mouth-to-mouth again, by sharing air from his bladder. "You owe me so much ramen for this," he mutters while keeping her alive. Just as they're about to make it to the surface, things get weird. A giant whale shows up out of nowhere and swallows them whole. Yes, a whale. Muchi can only groan. Seriously? Meanwhile, on the pirate ship, the crew is mourning. "Our captains are gone. Swallowed by a fish," someone wails. The whale pops up nearby, sneezes through its blowhole, and surprise, launches Haerang and Muchi safely onto the ship. Everyone cheers while Muchi looks at Haerang. "You ever gonna thank me for saving your life twice?" he asks. She just rolls her eyes. Meanwhile, Hyung-soo finds the flag Maki abandoned and cracks the main code like it's his day job. He convinces the dynasty leader to lend him a fancy new ship with big cannons and sets sail for the next treasure spot. However, there's still a tricky riddle in the flag's corner that he hasn't figured out yet. Back on the pirate ship, Haerang wakes up from a nightmare about fire dragons. It hits her. The code on the flag wasn't just random symbols. It's a sea chart. The next destination is clear, and the race is back on. It's the key to the next treasure location. Before anyone can say, "Great plan, Captain," the merchant's daughter pipes up. Actually, Maki already saw the code and figured it out. Cue everyone turning to Maki like a pack of hungry wolves. The crew tackles him, ties him up, and demands he spill the beans. After some whining and squirming, Maki finally confesses, "Fine, it's in Azuma Island. Happy now?" Then he adds, "But it's surrounded by lightning and super dangerous, so we probably shouldn't go." Of course, the crew ignores the dangerous part. There's treasure at stake, and they're all in. The only problem? Maki is the only one who knows the way. Sensing his moment of power, he grins and declares, "If you want me to guide you, I get to be captain until we find the treasure." Haerang is not amused. "You? Captain? Over my dead body." But Maki points out that it's either him or no treasure. Haerang sighs and decides to let the crew vote. "Alright, who wants Maki as temporary captain?" she asks, closing her eyes because she knows they'll stay loyal to her. When she opens her eyes again, everyone's hand is up. Even Muchi. "What the? You traitors!" Haerang yells, while the crew awkwardly avoids eye contact. "We just really want the treasure," one pirate mumbles. And just like that, Captain Maki takes charge. And guess what? Muchi and Haerang get demoted to kitchen duty. Yes, kitchen duty. Turns out, Haerang is a terrible cook. Her food tastes like something that crawled out of the sea of fire. But no one dares say a word because, well, she's Haerang. Later that evening, Muchi invites Haerang to the crow's nest to watch the stars. "It'll be fun," he says. The next day, they reach a fiery stretch of ocean known as the Sea of Fire. Haerang immediately freezes up. This is the place from her childhood nightmares. The one with the legendary fire dragons. Spoiler, They're just underwater volcanoes, but still scary. 7. Hayrang suggests taking a safer route, but Captain Mackie isn't having it. I know what I'm doing, he says, puffing out his chest. We're going straight through. The crew exchanges worried glances. Mackie's brilliant decision to charge straight through the lightning zone brings the pirates dangerously close to Inazuma Island. Predictably, the lightning starts striking the ship, setting parts of it on fire. Meanwhile, over on Hyung-soo's fancy new ship, they rebbing all clever with kites that redirect the lightning. The crew watches in awe. She grabs the helm and starts barking orders. You, put out that fire. You, secure the sails. And someone please get Mackie off the floor. Muchi dives to the rescue. Moments later, they reach the shore and split into 2 boats to explore the island. Everything seems fine, until Mackie admits he only read the name, Inazuma Island, starts digging in random spots like squirrels burying nuts. Meanwhile, Hyung-soo and his men arrive, armed with the riddle. Naturally, they figure out that the mountain, where lightning keeps striking the same spot, is the place to go. Muchi notices the lightning too, and gets a bright idea. Stay here, he tells Hayrang dramatically. I'm doing this for you. She rolls her eyes, but lets him go. Climbing the mountain is no easy task, but Muchi eventually reaches the top, only to find Hyung-soo and his crew already there. The place looks like a ghost town with abandoned houses and, disturbingly, a bunch of skulls on spears. Joseon Dynasty vibes are immaculate. Hyung-soo's men, eager to find treasure, start pulling the spears out one by one. But it's a trap. Out of nowhere, hidden blades pop up and stab them. Oh great, booby traps, Muchi mutters, hiding behind a rock. Back down below, Mackie has his own drama going on. After slacking off again, the crew is ready to throttle him, so he runs away into the jungle. While catching his breath, he bumps into a penguin. Yes, a penguin. And this isn't just any penguin. It's holding a gold bar in its beak like it's no big deal. Mackie, not one to let a golden opportunity slip away, calls the crew over to try and negotiate with the penguin. He even waves his arms around like he's some sort of animal whisperer. It just waddles away, gold bar still in its beak. But before anyone can give up on this wild goose chase, boom, cannon fire rings out from Hyung-soo's ship. They're attacking the pirate ship. Muchi, distracted by the explosions, accidentally reveals himself. Oops, he says as Hyung-soo's men spot him. Not the best timing. 10. As Hyung-soo opens the chest he found under the spear, he's expecting treasure. But nope, just an old creepy mask. It matches the one on the flag. What kind of treasure is this? Hyung-soo growls in disappointment. Meanwhile, Hayrang is beside herself. Muchi's in trouble, but she quickly snaps into captain mode. We're not going to let them destroy our ship. With an epic, motivational speech, she rallies the crew. The crew, remembering how great she is at leadership and how scary she can be, agrees to split into 2 groups. Some will go up the mountain to help Muchi, while the rest will protect the ship from Hyung-soo's attack. But guess who isn't happy? Mackie, of course. I was the captain, he fumes. You can't just take that away from me. So, he decides to run off with the penguin. Yes, he ties a rope around the poor bird to drag it underwater because apparently he thinks the penguin knows where the gold is. The penguin is not amused. Up on the mountain, Muchi's back up. The thieves finally show up, giving him a chance to grab the mask from Hyung-soo. This is it, the final duel. The 2 of them clash in an epic battle. Swords clash, fists fly, and at some point, the mask gets knocked off Hyung-soo's face. Whoops! The mask lands right on Mackie's head, and he immediately jumps up, shouting, "Wait a minute, I know what this means." And guess what? It fits perfectly with a cave under the island. I mean, of course it does. Mackie, with his newfound mask knowledge, takes off running toward the cave. Inside, he's greeted by a bunch of penguins. Not the fluffy little guys you want to hug, though. These penguins are standing on frozen land, guarding something big. And that big thing? The legendary ship, complete with treasure. Mackie, of course, starts celebrating like he just won the lottery. But suddenly, penguin attack. They swarm him, flapping and squawking like angry birds, pun intended. Meanwhile, Hayrang and the rest of the crew manage to get into the boats. But when they return to the ship, it's a sad sight. Their ship's already destroyed. But don't worry, their archer, who's been firing arrows like a champ this whole time, refuses to give up. I will not let them win, he yells, launching a barrage of arrows at Hyung-soo's crew. His determination inspires the rest of the pirates to attack. We're taking that ship, they cheer. It's not easy though. The underwater volcanoes are going off like crazy, starting fires everywhere, and Hyung-soo's crew is being really stubborn. When Hayrang asks the enemy captain to work together and survive, he just scoffs. I don't need your help. Fine, we'll do it ourselves. Hayrang grumbles, ready for action. Just when Hayrang is about to give up hope, guess who shows up? Mackie and the penguins. Yep, the penguins are now part of the rescue crew, riding in the legendary ship. I guess they really know how to sail. The pirates quickly jump aboard the new ship before anyone gets roasted in the volcano chaos. But just as they think they're safe, boom, a new whirlpool appears and starts. sucking in the water like a giant drain. More volcanoes erupt, and the enemy ship goes kaboom in a fiery mess. "Oh, we better get out of here," Hayrang shouts, and with her amazing sailing skills and quick thinking on the helm, she gets the pirates safely away from the disaster zone. She's basically the Captain America of ships at this point. Meanwhile, on the mountain, the storm's getting worse, and Muchi and Hyung-soo are forced to drop their swords to avoid being fried by lightning. But after watching their ships sink, they're both filled with rage again. Duel time. They go at it, swords clashing through the rain and lightning. Hyung-soo manages to get a lucky stab in, but it's not fatal. Muchi's still got fight left in him. One of the thieves tosses Muchi a sword, and Muchi, with an epic move, pushes Hyung-soo into the spot where lightning strikes every time. The lightning hits Hyung-soo like boom, and that's the end of him. Talk about a shocking end. Hours later, everyone's back on the new ship, wounds patched up, and it's smooth sailing for now. Hayrang, being the amazing captain she is, admits, "I might accept you as co-captain, if you behave, Muchi." Muchi, looking serious, says, "I'd follow you into the afterlife." And then, Hayrang, with a smile, kisses him. Cue the dramatic music.